my YouTube channel, and in today's video we're going to look at Carles Martínez Novell's Toulouse side. I mean, if you looked at the Ligue 1 table, I don't think his side would be the first team that sort of stood out to you, but when you actually look in some of the numbers, especially the defensive numbers, they're actually one of the better teams in the league. Look at those stats I mentioned. You can see here that only 3 teams in Ligue 1 so far this season have conceded less goals than Toulouse, those being PSG, Lens and Lyon, and only one side, again that being PSG, have conceded less expected goals than Toulouse. So for a side who's the third youngest in the league, despite them sitting mid-table, they've actually shown some really impressive signs from a defensive point of view. So if we jump across to the tactics board, we can see how they sort of line up and how they're achieving these results. They almost always line up in a 5-2-3 or a 3-4-3, depending on how you want to see it. Again, it depends on sort of the fullbacks, whether they're a little bit deeper, tucked in close to the centre backs, and then likewise the 10s, whether or not they're again tucked in close to the centre mids, or whether or not they're pressing a little bit more aggressively, and then in turn normally it means the wing backs are doing the same. Again, this is entirely dependent on the opposition. So in the case of this, if we bring in the opponents, in this case we'll put in Strasbourg, because quite a lot of the clips I've got later on are from this game. Strasbourg are lined up in a back 4, so that's your back 4, and then you've got your two pivot players, and then in front of those you've got your 3 players in behind a striker, which is here. I mean, in this particular game, the left winger were a bit more as an inside sort of 10, and then the winger on this side was a little bit more wide. Again, sort of it depended on the sort of build-up scenarios, but it looked a bit more like this, a bit lopsided to the right. This is from the game against Strasbourg, who use their goalkeeper quite a lot to build out. So I just want to highlight a few players that are sort of key in the pressing and the decision making that Toulouse have to make. So here you've got the striker, whose job at the moment here is to sort of cut that pass off to the centre back by curving his run. You've got the left 10 again, who's going to apply pressure to the right centre back, but also make sure that pass out to the right back's cut off. And then the interesting ones for me are you've got your right 10 here who's sitting on the pivot initially to sort of cover that space, and then you've got your centre mid up against the other centre mid, and then you've got Toulouse's other centre mid up against the number 10. So it's covering all them 3 midfield positions there. And then finally you've got the right centre back whose job it is to press out for the left winger who's come in to like an inside position. So in the end he's looking for a sort of pass into this midfield area, which he does, but because of the pressure on the back of the left winger, who tries to play a little pass around the corner to Nassi, Caceres managed to intercept it, and then obviously Toulouse have possession. Like I say, you see this quite frequently. This particular pressing situation here, I will show you sort of on the video footage in a second. But like I say, this is the sort of standard way of which Toulouse like to press. They very much are man-to-man, with a couple of players having a sort of zonal responsibility. But they do want to be nice and aggressive. They do want to win the ball back high and look to put pressure on the opposition in their build-up phase. So what we'll do now is just going to jump across to some screenshots from some clips I've got from some of the games they've played so far this season, just to sort of look at how it plays out on the field. Pressing situation in action. This actually leads to the only goal of the game for Toulouse. So start off with the keeper's got the ball. He's playing the ball out wide to the Strasbourg left centre back. The striker for Toulouse is putting pressure on him. You can see highlighted in the middle here is the right 10, who's, like I say, is in that inside position, covering the pivot from the initial build-up. But as soon as that ball goes wide, what he's going to look to do is put pressure on the centre back. And again, you can see this sort of chain of reactions this causes. So you've got your wing back for Toulouse putting pressure on the left back, the right centre back again applying pressure on the left winger, and the centre mid ready to cover that other pivot player, stop that pass coming inside. The ball goes out wide to Chilwell. He gets tackled. It's a bad touch for him in the first place, and a little bit of luck in terms of the ricochet going through to the striker Emerson. And again, he has a shot, which the keeper saves. It bounces back out to him, and then he finishes on his left foot. So whilst there were a little bit of luck in terms of how the deflections happened, you can see how applying that pressure, forcing them into a wide position, locking that side of the pitch off, and then forcing the mistake led to a goal for them. Just highlight, you've got the front three of Toulouse, and then you've got the two centre mids, and then out of picture, just over here, you can see the left centre back who's ready to sort of jump on the number 10 that's dropped. If we move on to the next screenshot, the ball's played across to the keeper, and the keeper's playing out wide, and this is the trigger for the number 10 on the right, just to sort of press the left centre back, as we've seen similar to the previous clip. And then you can see here the right centre back again ready to make that jump, along with the wing back ready to make that jump onto the left back. So if we move across to another clip, ball's gone wide, first time pass from the Strasbourg player into the left winger, who, like I said, in this game took up that inside position quite frequently. He's got pressure in his back from the right centre back, so he plays a little pass around the corner. But because of the pressure behind him, what actually happens is it allows the centre mid on the left side who's come across to sort of read that danger, because this man here is no longer being affected because he's too far away from the ball. So what he does is he intercepts that pass, wins the duel, and then the ball goes back to the centre back, and Toulouse can then look to sort of then play their build up. Flip I talked about and I showed you on the tactics board. So if I just highlight some players, so this is the right 10 on the Strasbourg pivot. You've got the left 10, who again, like I said, is covering that player, but also covering the right back. And then you've got the striker, who again is going to look to sort of curve that run and just look to stop that pass going out wide to the centre back. So if I move across to the next screenshot, you can see, so the striker's making that run now. Now that pass has been made to the goalkeeper, and what it leaves is the keeper no pass out wide anymore. So this pass here is not on. This pass here is on, but then he'll be immediately under pressure. Again, fullback ready to jump onto the Strasbourg fullback, and then you see them matches up in midfield here. Like I said, this was the right centre back, so the beauty of playing a back three in terms of it allows them to have one of their centre backs push really deep, but still have numbers at the back. So there's no space to exploit. So again, if we move it on, the pass from the keeper goes infield, and like the previous clip, there's pressure on the player immediately, and again looks to sort of play the pass around the corner, but it's intercepted by Caceres, and then when he wins the ball back, again it allows Toulouse in a situation where they can look to immediately attack or keep possession. But again, the main thing for this was just stopping Strasbourg's build-up and just causing them a lot of issues in this game, and they didn't really have too many chances. I showed you there was all high-pressing situations. This clip here is from the game against Marseille. It was semi-final of the Cup, and it's just to showcase how if they don't press high or if they're forced back, how well they are still within a 5-4-1 mid to low block. Again, even from this position, if we just bring up sort of highlight the player's positioning, you've got your back five here, and then in front of them, you've got your midfield four, again with your wide 10s more on this inside tucked in position, just to sort of cut off these spaces either side, and then you've got your striker. And again, the aim here is to stop off the essential progression, but also not look just to sit and be comfortable in this block. So when the ball goes out wide here, the sort of pass on for the Marseille player is out wide here. Can't really play in field because of the pressure that the player would be under if they receive. So when the ball goes out wide and the player receives, again, immediately under pressure, bad touch, but that bad touch forces them away. But instead of just being comfortable, letting them go backwards, the striker is making this movement here to put pressure on. So when the pass goes back, the midfielder can't really play the ball inside because he's going to be under immediate pressure, and obviously likewise behind. So when the ball goes back to the centre back, it's a loose touch. But what this allows Toulouse to do is, as you can see here, is just immediately push the back line up. Again, they don't want to just be sitting comfortable and waiting for pressure to come on them. They want to get up the field, keep them sort of lines between the midfield and the defence nice and compact. And like I say, look to them build into sort of a high pressing phase rather than just being sat comfortable in a low block. So that was just a quick look at Toulouse from an out of possession point of view so far this season. If you did enjoy this video, do like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you for the next one.